Hello, it's Pete from Divi Engine. Today we're going to be doing a tutorial on how to make a pop-up, a Divi pop-up of a section that you build. So the idea is that we can create anything using the Divi Builder, and on clicking a button or an image, that gets popped up. So the idea is that we're only going to use simple jQuery and CSS, nothing fancy, but it should do the job for you. So the first thing you want to do is you want to go and add a class to the button so we can target it with the jQuery. So I'm just going to go into the page and edit the page. I'm going to switch to desktop view so I can see the visual builder. Scroll on to scheduler button, which is what I want to target. Go to module settings, advanced, CSS ID and classes, and I want to add the class Popup. It can be anything. I'm just going to use Popup just so we keep it nice and clear. Okay, so I'm just going to run through it so you can understand how to do it. I'm not going to throw all the code at you. I'm going to go through it step by step. So we've added the class. Now what happens? It does nothing. So if we go on here and we click schedule a call, it just reloads the page. It does nothing. But if I inspect this, I can see that it's got the class Popup. See over there? Oh, I can't. Anyway, got Popup, which I've added. Okay. So that's cool. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go and do a few things. So the first thing I'm going to do is use some jQuery to target this button. So I'm going to go to Divi Theme Options, Integration, and then there, in the body, is where you add your jQuery. So the first thing I want to do is I want to go scripts, and close it with scripts. My spelling's horrendous. Okay, so now what I want to do is I'm using jQuery, so I'm going to go jQuery documents. When the jQuery document is ready, do this function. I want to add a pound sign for the jQuery. So just so you know, this is kind of like the basis of the start of using jQuery with Divi. So I'm just going to neaten this up just so you get an idea. So what I'm saying is, when jQuery is ready, then run this jQuery code. Because what happens is, if I start using jQuery and it's not loaded, it won't work and it'll throw errors. So this is what it's doing. Now I'm using this dollar symbol, but it can be anything. You could have that as a T or a U or V, but dollar symbol is kind of what everybody uses, so we're using that. So what I'm going to say is, now to target the jQuery, I'm going to use this dollar sign. So to use the jQuery, so document. When the document, so when I'm going to click on pop up, so when I'm going to click on the pop up, do the function. Is that right? Function. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to alert. So alert clicked, and close it. So a lot of this you might, I'm just going to show you how I'm writing it, but a lot of this you can just Google. You can say how to, jQuery on click, and there's different ways you can do it, but this is the way I like to do it, because when I use the document on click rather than the click function in jQuery, the click function is good as well, but the click function doesn't work when objects are being ajaxed in or added after the initial load. So this is, I always like to just use this just out of habit. So anyway, so what I'm saying is, when I click on a document, when I click on the document, when I click on the class Popup, do this. And what I'm doing is I'm alerting that it's being clicked. So I'm just going to save this and reload the page. You will see if I click on it, it does nothing. So what I want to do is, I just want to make sure that my code is correctly. I've got this. So yeah, looks fine to me. Okay, so what I want to do is, I'm going to alert is clicked, but I need to prevent it from reloading. So how do I do that? So what I want to do is, if you, this is how you prevent it from reloading. So event, and then you go event, or you could just use E, prevent defaults. So you can Google jQuery how to stop a button click, and that it'll give you that code. But I'm just going to write it for you. So there's an issue with my jQuery. If I inspect it, I can see there's oops. So that's not right. Oh yeah, that's not right. So that's the issue. Yeah. So I have the opening bracket, and it goes over there. So just sorry, I'm going to go back and explain it to you. What I did is I went into right-click, inspect, and went to Search Console, and I could see there's a syntax error, unexpected token bracket. So if I check at the code, I can see, oh, it's over there, and that's the error. So it's really helpful. How do I save this? It's really helpful using the inspect tool, because you can like debug your code. Okay, so now you can see. I mean, you can't see because the screen's a bit lower, but it's alerted me that I've clicked it, and it hasn't reloaded the page. So that's what it's doing. What it's doing is, it's when I'm clicking on .popup, prevent the page from reloading, and alert that it's being clicked. Okay, so those are the first three steps. So add the class, prevent it from loading, and just alert that it's being clicked, so we can carry on. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back onto the page. I'm going to add my section. You can add it anywhere on the page. I'm just going to add it just below over here. Well, actually, I added it at the bottom just for the sake of it. Make it a regular section. Not too sure what's going on there. Let me just reload this page. Let's go in here. Scroll down to the bottom. Add a section. And I want to make a one row, and I'm just going to add a contact form. Okay. So this is going to be what's going to be popped up. So let me just add a background color to the pop-up. We're going to make it a bit transparent so people can see, but we can play with this afterwards. Yeah, so I'm making it transparent. The one thing I want to do is I want to have a white background on the container, so I kind of want to have like a container on the box. So let me first, I want to add a class to the section, and the class I'm going to call it is Popup overlay. So this is so I can add a class to it to show it, and 2 to add some CSS to it. So I'm going to add a pop-up overlay for the class, and then what I want to do is I'm going to, in the column, so not the row, and I'll explain why I'm not going to do on the row later, but on the column I want to add a class in the column called Popup content, and I want to give it a background of white. Okay, so you can see it's starting to come together, and I want to add some spacing between the edges. I'm just going to add 40, oh, not 470, 40, 40, 40. So it kind of like adds a bit of room around there. You could do all sorts. You could add a box shadow. That's quite nice. You could add border radius of, I don't know, 3, not 33 is quite cool. Just a little box shadow, a border radius box shadow. You could do what you want, and I'm just going to leave it like that for now. Okay, so there we have our basis of our form pop-up. We have a background, which is slightly opaque, and we have our container, which is on the column, not on the row. And yeah, and then we have the contact form, and you can style that up as you want. So I'm just going to save that for now and reload the front page, and you will see at the bottom that the form will be there looking pretty. Not, but let's see what we can do now. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to hide it. We're going to hide it, and we're going to make it fixed, so it's always wherever you scroll it'll be on the screen, and we want to make it so it's full height and full width. Okay, so in the Divi theme options, go to the custom CSS, and in there we want to do .popup overlay. First of all, we want to give it a position of fixed, so it's fixed on the screen the whole time. Well, with fixed, you want to put it in its place. So actually, I'm gonna do this. So I can code like this, but I'm gonna just show you what it's like. How it's really helpful if you do it this way, because you can physically see it. So go to the front of your website, right click and inspect. This will really help you with your CSS. Yeah, so go position fixed. Now you can see it's disappeared. Oh, where's it gone? So I'm going to put it on position top. No, sorry, not position top, sorry. Top 0. So I'm putting it at the top of 0. Okay, it's nice and small in the corner. We don't want that. We want it to be width 100%. Okay, we're getting there. Height 100 VH, which is view height. So the 100 of 100% of the height of the screen. Okay, so now it's kind of there, but it's behind the overlay is kind of behind other things. So we want to give it a Z index of 99999 or whatever. 9999. So now it's at the top. Great. So the only issue is you want to kind of have, I want that in the center. If you Google CSS Center, there's a really nice tutorial by CSS Tricks, which really show you how to do it. So I'm gonna do that. So I'm gonna do display flex. I'll push in the middle, but I want to go justify content center and align items center. Okay, so that kind of pushes it in the center, looking good. Okay, so I'm gonna, now what you can do is you can just copy that, Control C or Command C, and go into Popup overlay and paste it in there, and there's all the CSS, and you can kind of see it's looking good. So that's a really good way of learning CSS, and you can see it happen visually. Okay, so that's great, but obviously we don't want it to be visible the whole time. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to remove the display flex and put display none. Okay, so you can see that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go in here and replace display flex with display none. So what I'm going to do then is, when you click on the button, I'm going to use jQuery to give the overlay a class name of show, for example. You can do whatever you want. I'm going to use show. And when it has a class name of show, to display flex, which we just removed with display none. So I'm going to go .pop up overlay .show display flex. Save. Okay, so now how do I get that display show to come? So I use jQuery. So if I go into my integrations tab, what I've done is I've prevented the button from clicking and I've alerted the click. I'm going to remove that alert click, and I'm going to go for pretty much when clicking, I'm going to use the $, which is what's been specified over there. So $pop up overlay. So jQuery pop overlay dot add class. I want to add the class show. Now, if you ever want to work out how to do this, you can look at the jQuery documentation. But yeah, pretty much what I'm doing is I'm saying, okay, when you click on the pop-up button or any element with the pop-up class, prevent it from doing anything and add the pop-up overlay, to pop-up overlay, add the class show. So let's just save that now and let's have a look. Okay, so now what happened is it should pop up. No, it's not. So why is it not? Let's inspect the console. Okay, let's just go on down the bottom and inspect our pop-up overlay. Have I saved? I might not have saved it. I have. Pop-up, oh, it's spelled wrong. That's it, overlay, not. So that's a spelling mistake. So watch out for spelling mistakes. My spelling can be pretty poor. And again, it's not doing anything. So let's have a quick look. It's not adding the class show. And that's probably a spelling mistake again. So let's make sure that I've got the right spelling. Sorry guys, this is so let me copy this class, pop-up overlay, and let's make sure I've got that in there. Oh, I don't have a dot. Oh, I'm going too quick, I'm sorry. So I don't have a dot to target the class. Oh, anyway, we'll get there. So if I go up here, click on my button, there we go, brilliant. So it's shown, it pops up when I click on the button, but I can't close it. So this is what I need to kind of do some more jQuery to close it. This is where it gets a bit more interesting or a bit more advanced, but it shouldn't be too much once I kind of show you how to do it. So yeah, so what we're going to do is we're going to go for, in the integrations tab, we're going to leave it like that. Now what we're going to do is on we're going to use the same, I'm just going to copy this, we're going to use the same start thing. So when you click on, I want to close that, so 1 second, you always have to make sure you close the brackets. So when I click on pop-up overlay, pop-up overlay, remove class, show. So when I click on the overlay, remove show. Okay, now this isn't the end, but I'm just going to show you what happens, and I'll explain, and then you'll see why I haven't ended it there. So you open it, close it. Great. That works perfectly, but what happens when you click on the contact form? It closes as well. Why is that? Well, when we inspect it, you can see that the section has a class pop-up overlay, and the column and the contact form is a child of that section. So therefore, when you click on the column, it's clicking on pop-up overlay and therefore closing it. Do you see? So you're closing the pop-up overlay. So there's some bit of jQuery you can do to stop that. So I'm going to add some spaces over here. So when I click on pop-up overlay, remove class, okay? And then what I want to say is document. I'll just copy this, it's for easier. When I click on content, which is this class that I've given to the column, pop-up content. When I click on pop-up content, event dot stop propagation. So what's that doing is that's stopping, it's preventing what's happening to the parent. So we'll see what happens now. Open, close, open. When I click on the form, oh, giving away my personal email address there. When I click on the form, it does nothing. You see? So that's pretty cool. And just to do a test, if I go 5, 6, 7, if I do that, it's still working over there. I need it for an email address and message. Okay, so that's great. Now we have a working pop-up form. Only issue is some users may want to have a cross over there to some users may want to click on a cross to close. So this is where some further CSS will come into play. Now this is why I've given the class pop-up content to the column and not the row, because if I give it to the row and I have the X above here, if they click on the X, it's going to stop it from closing because the row, so you see the column has the class pop-up content. If I give that to the row, the row will have the class popup content. So when I click on the X, which is going to be a before element, it will prevent it from closing. So therefore, the X won't work. That's why I want to add it on the column, because then when I add a before element on the row and click close, the row doesn't have that content, which will prevent it from closing, and therefore it will close. Okay, we'll see in a minute what I mean. So go to the your CSS, and we want to go for .pop up overlay. Am I spelling it correctly? And its first child, et. I mean, you don't have to do that, but I just like to do it. I just like to be more specific. I want to add a before after element. Okay, so I want to do display block, and just for the sake of it, I'm going to go content, just so because I could write a whole bunch of CSS here, but I'm going to try and make it as user friendly for you as possible. So display block and content is a minimum requirements for an after to display, so we can customize the CSS here. So we can see on the row, there's the after, and there's our CSS. Display block content. Okay, so the content really, what you want to do is you want to go to elegant themes resources, and then there's if you type in elegant themes font icons, it'll give you a list of all the font icons. So over here we want to go for the close button. Okay, now I'll explain what happens now. So let's inspect this page again. In the after, for the content, you want to have the elegant themes icon. So I'm going to do backslash, and it'll be 4D for me. Okay, so the 4D is what you do is you copy whatever's after the X. So in my case, it's just 4D. So if I want to have, I don't know, I mean, I don't think you, oh, even that, say you want that one, you would copy EOA6 after the X. You copy that, and that would be your content. Okay, so we're defining the after as content as that. The font family is ET modules. Okay. Now I want to try and make it visible. Where is it now? So let's go position absolute top -20 right 0. Okay. Font size 20 pixels. Visibility visible. Now the reason why I did visibility visible is I can see down here it's got to be a, cross it off, visibility hidden. So let's make it visible. Color hashtag FFF for white. Font size is too small, so let's go 40. Double that. Nice. Okay. Right, we're going to push it more right. 40 down. That looks quite nice. Top 0. Nice. I think that looks quite nice. So we've got that. What else do we need? That's pretty much it. I mean, you can do font weights if you want. I don't like it, it's too thick for me, so I'm going to remove it. Okay, so that's the CSS. So you can see how easy it is to manage the CSS. And oh, there's one thing actually I need to do. Make it so the cursor's a pointer. So we go cursor pointer. Okay. So there we go. So we go, okay, close it. Clicking on the X. If I'd made that, so let me show you what happens. If I make that, or if I add the pop-up content, let me add the pop-up content to the class, to the row. Okay, so now it has the pop-up content as, now I click on the X, see it's not closing, because the X is part of the row which is pop-up dash content. If I click just outside of it, it will. Do you see? But if I inspect it, and on that row remove pop-up content, it was just like, I don't know. Now when I click on the column, which is this, it won't close, but when I click on the row, which is the X, it will close. So the final thing which we want to do is quite, sharp and sudden. We want to add like a bit of an animation to it, to slide in, to like zoom in. So we need to kind of alter our code a bit, and because when you have display block, you can't do any fading in from opacity. I mean, you probably could if you do animation, but I'm just going to do like opacity 0 to opacity 1 and have a transition. So what we're going to do is we want to go, it's a bit of a interesting scenario, and what we want to do is we want to change it so that its position. No, that's not right. We're going to this one, yeah. Position fixed, okay. Top 0, yeah. Width, height 100, that's fine. As the index is we want. Okay, so we want index minus 1, because what I'm going to do is I'm going to push it behind the content, so it's going to be there all the time, but it's going to be behind everything, so you won't see it, and then it'll slowly fade in. So I want to remove that. Well, I want to actually paste that in show and have it as -1. So it'll be when it's hidden, it'll be z index -1. When it's visible, it'll be z index 999. Okay. So we have height with z index -1. Display none. We want to remove that. Okay. We don't want display none because that's going to not allow it to go from 0 opacity to 1. We want the opacity to be 0, and then we want the opacity over here to be 1. We want, I'm just going to do overflow hidden. Oh, that's not how you spell hidden. Hidden. Overflow hidden, okay. Now I want to add a transition. So transition, and it's going to be opacity, and it's going to be 0.4 seconds. We can and it's going to be ease in out. That's what it's going to be. And I'm just going to copy that. Dunk, dunk, and I want to do add moz and add WebKit. Opacity, and that kind of all looks okay to me, I think. So what I'm doing is I'm removing the display none. I'm having its opacity as 0, and it's going to be behind all the content. And then when you show it, the opacity is going to be 1, and it's going to come in front of all the content. So let's save the page, and let's check it out. Nice. Zooms in nicely, fades out, and goes away. So that looks really nice. And you can do any animation you want, but I'm going to leave it like that. And again, you can change the background. You can do all sorts. You could actually, you could even. I'm just going to get a bit creative over here. Background image. Let's see what we have here. Let's do that. Background image. Multiply. I don't know, let's see what happens. I should really have done that before. Sorry, before I'd hidden the section. There we go, and you can have that nice background over there. Okay, so this is how you create a pop-up using simple jQuery and some simple CSS, using the Divi Builder to build any section you want and have that pop up as an overlay over your website. Okay, and then obviously you can add anything in here. You can add your header, buttons, the world's your oyster. I hope this has been helpful, and again, we'll have all the code on our website and on our GitHub. So if you ever want to grab it, it's there. But this is a way, for you just to learn, so you can try to do it yourself next time. Try use jQuery. Look online, say, hey, how do I make how do I add a class to an element when clicking a button? If you Google that, you'll see loads on Stack Overflow, loads of people giving, solutions, and then from there you can trial and error, use the inspect tool, look in the console, see the error, work it out, change, adjust, and that's how I personally think is the best way to learn jQuery and CSS, by trial and error. You're not going to break anything. I mean, just remove your code if you are. You know, if something breaks, obviously do this on a dev site, don't do it on a live website. But if something breaks, just remove your code. It's not the end of the world. Failure is a good thing. I've failed many times in my life, and I applaud it. I love failure, because failure shows that you're learning. So when you fail, it's a good thing as long as you keep trying. So you keep at it. You know, the moment you give up, or the moment you stay in your comfort zone, is the moment I feel like you're not developing, or you're not evolving as a designer, as a developer. So anyway, that's the end of that. Okay, cool. So yeah, thanks so much, and we'll speak soon. And I hope you have a great day. And yeah, keep safe.